Well, hey folks, the Indiana Supreme Court landed a blow on the state's case against Richard Allen, the accused killer of Abby Williams and Libby German. Now, as we watched it live today on Profiling Evil, it was pretty dang clear how the court was going to end up ruling. But I never expected it to happen so quickly. Stick around. Well, hey everybody, it's a beautiful night here in southern Utah. Thanks again for the hundreds of you who joined me today in watching the arguments unfold in the Indiana Supreme Court's ruling today on Richard Allen. His legal team fought to have his original attorneys return to the lineup. At the end of the video that we were watching today, I had an informal poll taken, and only 2 of our viewers thought the state came out on top. Yeah, it was pretty dang clear who the justices were leaning toward, but holy cow, I never expected an answer to come so dang quickly. At stake was whether or not Judge Gull acted inappropriately as she tossed out defense attorneys Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rossi, calling them negligent and incompetent. Now, if there's anything that would start a fight, I think that's it. Well, the arguments in today's hearing came down to several major questions. First and foremost, did Richard Allen have the autonomy and the authority to choose his own defense team? Number 2, did the special judge, Frances Gull, abuse her authority when she forced Allen's attorneys to withdraw from the case? And that's really the big issue that's at stake here. Now, it stems from a November 2022 hearing in which, if you remember, that was in Delphi when the judge said that the attorneys allowed evidence to remain visible in their office in an accessible area. And because of that, an individual, a friend of one of the attorneys, was able to go in, photograph the evidence, and then share it on with his contacts and with friends, and then it eventually made its way out to the World Wide Web. That resulted in those crime scenes getting out and prejudicing Allen in many respects, according to the judge. Now, the state tried rather feebly to argue that it's unknown if Richard Allen really wanted to have his attorneys back on the case. Well, I don't know where that came from, but Allen's lawyer, Mark Lehman, argued that the answer is an unequivocal yes. In fact, Lehman didn't pull any punches when he said, no Indiana court has ever tolerated a judge removing a lawyer from a case over the client's objections. Now, Judge Gull's attorney got up and argued that the judge removed the attorneys because the conduct that she found to be really troubling was just too much for her to get over. Denying Gull was unfair to the defense. She said she was acting in Richard Allen's best interest. But then Chief Justice Rush put pressure on Allen's team when she asked them why they bypassed the system and went right to the Supreme Court rather than follow the normal appellate system, which would take them through other courts. Lehman responded that doing so would delay the case, a case that's already been protracted and drawn out. And he reminded the court about that moment that Richard Allen had asked for a speedy trial, but one hadn't been afforded to him, reminding the court that Allen wanted to have his trial now within 70 days. The justices flat out denied the request. When they were talking about Judge Gull's actions, though, Justice Rush also said, quote, "It does not appear that this was done in the proper way." And she continued her comments by saying that the judge should have held a special hearing where she could hear the evidence of negligence and incompetence rather than just making a decision. Then Justice Massa weighed in saying, quote, "The judge may have been exasperated with Baldwin and Rossi's conduct, but being insubordinate is not the same as being an ineffective counsel.
Now, the Indiana Supreme Court has agreed to allow the suspect in the Delphi murder case to retain his original lawyers. Richard Allen is charged with killing 2 teenagers in 2017. A judge had removed his original public defenders from the case, accusing them of leaking evidence and negligence. He had argued that the judge had overstepped their bounds. The trial is currently set to begin in October.
And with all the wrangling that was going on in the Supreme Court, I guess the local court wasn't about to be outdone. Today, Carroll County prosecutor Nicholas McClellan submitted a motion to file additional murder charges and kidnapping charges against Allen, saying that they more accurately align with the cause discovery and probable cause statement. So I guess my question is this a knee-jerk reaction to the prosecution's beating that they took, or is it truly what they needed to do? You know, I just don't think so. And I say this because the prosecutor stated that the defense has been expecting additional charges for some time. If you think back, Allen had already faced charges for murder while committing a felony, the kidnapping that he committed, and that was back in October of 2022. Prosecutors didn't file the charge of kidnapping back then, but they've now added the 2 additional counts of murder, which are defined as knowingly or intentionally killing another person. The distinction between the 2 types of murders is that murder in the commission of a felony accuses Allen directly of kidnapping 14-year-old Libby and 13-year-old Abby, and then forcing them off that Monon High Bridge trail and down into the bottom of the river bottoms where they were murdered. And that's the deal here, folks, is that in the process of the kidnapping, the girls were killed. Under that charge, prosecutors wouldn't necessarily have to prove that Allen was the actual killer, just that they were murdered in the course of him committing a felony, the kidnapping. But the charges of additional murder today accuse Allen of the act of killing the girls also on February 13th, 2017. Now, if Allen's convicted on all 4 counts of murder, he only is going to be sentenced on 2 of those murder counts. All 4 charges carry the same possible sentence in this particular case, something between 45 and 65 years if I'm reading everything correctly. At the conclusion of court today, the Supreme Court didn't issue a written response, but it promised that it would very soon. But in the end, Allen's team won big, although they didn't get everything they wanted. Now, Allen's jury trial is set for October of 2024, 2 years after this guy was arrested. So I want to know what your thoughts are on this one. Number one, if you watched the hearing today, how did you think the state did? What were your impressions as we went through that thing? And what are your thoughts now? I hope that you'll put them down below and that you'll converse back and forth with each other. And I also hope that you'll hit the subscribe button and you'll hit the like and the thumbs up and all of that stuff. Hey folks, please check out profilingevil.com. We're putting a lot of effort into the webpage now to try to get more information there for you to kind of keep up on what's happening. It's a place where you can sign up for the BOLO. It stands for Be on the Lookout, and it's our digital newsletter. And do not forget choir practice on the first Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And for those of you that aren't doing anything tomorrow night, Friday night, I'm going to be out at the Colorado City Hilldale area, staying in Warren Jeff's home. I got the invitation, and how could I pass it up? If I can do it, and if the bandwidth is good, I'm going to go live from inside that predator's home and maybe show you around a little bit and talk about the FLDS and cults among us. Hey, thanks for your support of Profiling Evil. It's a beautiful night in Utah. I hope you all are well. We'll see you soon at the next crime scene.